It's the first Sunday of the new year.
Yay!
How about that? It's okay. You did nothing wrong. Really? I'm going to criticize you for cheering? I'll take a yay anytime. So we're going to do a series on the parables of Jesus. Because I think they are lovely teachings. I think they're very accurate. I think they guide us to new ways of thinking. I had to write some stuff out because sometimes I forget. Now, I want to be clear here that as we do this, this is in no way telling us to worship Jesus. Jesus didn't ask to be worshipped. We're not going to worship Jesus here. I've had people get a little upset, and I'm not really worried about that. But I don't want people to be confused any more than they need to be. And I have spoken in churches where if I said Wayne Dyer's name, ooh, and they lean forward to hear. Eckhart Tolle. Ooh. Jesus. Jesus. I had too much of that when I was a kid. I'm Juicy. I am. For my next trick. I've had people, I'm Jewish, and I have such a hard time with the Jesus thing there. I say, then you're not listening. You are so not listening. Jesus gave great teachings. Jesus taught phenomenally. Now, we're not talking about this stuff taught about Jesus. That you need to question. The teachings about Jesus, further on in the Bible and stuff, I would really question a lot of that stuff. Because that's pushing us to some of it is to control us a little bit. Mm-hmm. Follow the teachings of Jesus, and you can't go wrong. I promise you. You cannot go wrong. His parables are phenomenal. The parables, his allegories, what have you. It's just phenomenal. And this one, I want to... First, let me read to you the definition of a parable. It's a simple story used to illustrate a moral or spiritual lesson as told by Jesus in the Gospels. And why are parables helpful? Because they lend themselves to meditation. In that they stir the imagination and make us see the story as an actual event. As we meditate on our parable, our perception is quickened and we begin to see the underlying truth or spiritual principle that the story illustrates. And Jesus as a teacher, he used the parables, he used hyperbole, in case you don't know what that means. It is he told shocking stories or exaggerations, like having a log in your eye. Nobody has a log in their eye. It's an example, though, of how metaphysically big our unwillingness to see can be, our misperception can be, like the log in the eye. He used memorable sayings like judge not lest you be judged, because you see that's an easy one to remember. And repetition. He told the same stories over and over again, because the more often you hear them, the more likely you are to remember them. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's important, because I know that's for me. I have to hear things 4 or 5 times a lot of that, like your name. I have to hear things 4 or 5 times in order to take them in and start to grasp. I remember many years ago, when I in my early days of studying this stuff, one day I thought, man, how many times am I going to have to hear this? And the voice immediately said, as many times as you need to. Mm-hmm. Someone actually said here one day that they no longer needed to be reminded that they were good. Yeah, years ago, on their last Sunday here. And seriously, they no longer needed to be reminded. I've had enough of this good stuff. And I thought, okay, I don't know how to work with that when I can't convince you that there is good in the world when you think it's there, but you behave as if it's not. And so I'm going to keep my personal ministry is to keep reminding myself and all of us that we are good, because I do know about you, but I know about me too. And I forget at least 6 times a day. At least 6 times a day that I am God's beloved child. that I am loved with an everlasting love, and therefore do not need to worry. But I can if I want to. I can worry all day long. In fact, and I've brought this up here before, and I invite you to play along with me. Who here devotes more time per day to worry than you do prayer? Yeah, of course. Because we forget. And you see, that's all it is. See, God's not mad at us because God's not a person. God's not your aunt, your grandmother, your grandfather. God is God. God is love. And so therefore, God's not mad at us for forgetting. But we do keep attracting events in order to remember.
Yes.
We keep... Have you noticed how many opportunities are thrown to you every day to learn forgiveness?
Yep.
Every day, opportunities to practice the experience of forgiveness. To go within to Spirit and say, Spirit, tell me how to forgive, how to give way for a new thought, a new idea about this. So you see, the universe loves us so much that we get opportunities all the time to learn forgiveness, to learn patience, to learn joy, to learn. And it may seem like we're being given opportunities for the very opposite of such things. That we're given opportunities to learn rage, to practice misery. But no, these are our opportunities to see correctly. All of these opportunities, when someone is nice or kind to us, and when someone is unkind to us, that's an opportunity. And when we are unkind to ourselves, to another, that's another opportunity to learn the experience of forgiveness. And we can take our time with it, or we can quickly remember. Today's parable is really about the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven. That sounds like a lovely thing. Now, I always thought that was a place I'm going to when I die. Maybe. Depending on how I behave while I'm here. But no, the kingdom of heaven is about now, not the future. I was so relieved when I learned that, because now seems a lot more possible than the future. I have a lot of doubts about the future, but I have very few doubts about right now. Right now seems totally accessible to me. I can get on board with right now. All sins can be wiped away right now. And those of you who don't know how we teach sin here, sin is missing the mark, falling short of the ideal. Again, not reason for condemnation for later, but a great excuse for forgetting the good that I am right here and right now. And today's parable is on the hidden treasure. Jesus called the hidden treasure. And so I'm going to read a little bit about that. It's Matthew 13:44 that says, a man finds a treasure hidden in a field. He realizes that he has something of tremendous value, but the field does not belong to him. And so he hides the treasure there in the field. He digs a hole and puts it down in there so it can't disappear and nobody can come steal it. But he goes and he sells all that he has so he can raise the money to purchase the field where he has hidden the treasure. Now, the kingdom of heaven, in case you don't know, is a state of consciousness in which mind, soul, and body are in harmony with divine mind. That we are aligned completely with divine mind. And again, that's not for the future, that's for right now. Now, it may be perpetual work to do this. And the only reason we would put it off is because we're afraid we'll miss out on something good if we do it. If we do it right now, I'm afraid I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose some piece of fun. I'm going to lose some piece of being right. That I actually believe, sometimes, we can believe, I will be killed if I do this. I will be annihilated if I turn my will and my life over to the care of God. If I seek the kingdom first, I will be annihilated. Somebody will weasel their way in and annihilate me. Why would we put it off? Or I just won't get to have fun today. I'll miss out on the party. And I like the party. I know it's not good and healthy for me, but I like the party. I like the party. The party is called misery. The party is called unconnectedness. The party is called duality. That's what the party is called. We wear party hats for it, and we go out and buy new outfits for the party, and we go into debt for the party, and we drop friends right and left for the party, and we don't go to church this week because the party was too good last night, or it's gonna foul up my thinking for the party next week, and we put off our good because of the party of misery. And so we don't have to do that anymore. God's not asking us not to have a party. God's just asking us to have a party knowing who we are and what we are. That's all. God's asking us to have a party without resentment. God is asking us, not only asking, offering. God is offering a party that is free from the bondage of self, that is free from the bondage of thoughts of lack, that is free from the bondage of sickness, that is free from the bondage that somebody else has my good, that is free. We are offered a free party. Well, not free, because it's going to cost us something. It's going to cost us our lack. Abundance, prosperity costs everyone their lack. And some of us aren't ready to give that up yet because we're so convinced that lack is a reality. Well, who would I be without lack thoughts? Who would I be? Who would I be without an adversary? And some of our adversaries are dead a long time now, and we're still maintaining them. Some of our adversaries died when we were children, and still. Some of our adversaries disappeared 20 years ago, and still we're maintaining them. Some of our adversaries are ourselves. And we no longer need to do that. That's why we're coming up here today. That's why we came up here last week. Those of you who weren't here last week, our burning bowl, we wrote names of all those that we would like to be willing to experience forgiveness around, and that's the list that we burnt. We didn't burn the people. We burned our thoughts about them, and we sent the love that is out into the universe by doing that. And then the letter we wrote that we mailed to those who participated last week was a gratitude, just a big gratitude list. So the hidden treasure came back to that. And somebody wrote this. There are some things we should keep in mind about this parable about the hidden treasure. Finding the kingdom doesn't mean one automatically enters it or has access to it. And that's a lot of us. We could know all about the kingdom, but we're not quite ready to enter. We're not quite ready. We're not ready to sell our separation in order to go buy the field where it's buried. We're not quite ready. No cause for alarm. No cause for guilt. I want to be very clear on this. Guilt will keep us out of the kingdom faster than anything. That's up there with resentment. It will keep us out of the kingdom. Meaning, I'm going to read the state of consciousness in which mind, soul, and body are in harmony with divine mind. Guilt, resentment will keep us out of that state of consciousness. So we know this moving forward. So, what is the field in which man's greatest treasure is hidden? It's the mind and the heart. That's our field, where our treasure is hidden, where we hid it a long time ago. And they contain this My Toastmasters teacher would not be happy with me today with all these ahs. They contain the hidden treasure or spiritual identity that each man discovers as he or she learns to know him or herself as the Son of God. Each of us are looking to remember that we are the beloved child of God. It's not limited to Jesus. It's not limited to Mother Teresa. It's not limited to, those people doing those good works, those nice people. It's not limited. The kingdom is not limited. The consciousness is not limited. But seek ye first the kingdom for yourself. Don't wait till I get it. Don't wait till your neighbor gets it. Don't wait until somebody else, anybody else on this planet gets it. Don't wait any longer for yourself to get it. Accept it now, assuming it is good. Assuming that if you turn your will and your life over to the care of God, your life. Okay. Cough that out, sister.
Yeah, it's gone.
Get rid of that resistance. Release and let go. So.
Sorry.
Oh no, you got nothing wrong. I gotta laugh. So, to you too, brother. So to put down the resistance, to put down all that, to say yes, I can assume that if I rethink this, my life will be better. If I pray before I act, before I speak, this experience will be better. I don't know how it'll be better, but it will be better. If I do it, I'm going to pray first. And the prayer can be as simple as, thank you, God, I'm grateful to be shown the way. It does not have to be a long, involved process. If I meditate, which also does not have to be a long, involved process. As most of you know, my meditation is on the in-breath, I think God is. On the out-breath, I think God, I am. God is, I am. I think it, I don't say it out loud because it's hard to do. God is. I've seen people try that and it doesn't work. No, you have the thought, God is. I am. You don't have to wonder what that means, just know it. Or find your own. Find your own statement that works for you in your meditation. And if you're not used to meditating, 5 minutes is plenty. Set your timer. So get a little kitchen timer, set it, and have your quiet time. If you can't, for the whole 5 minutes, sit quietly. Just sit. And I guarantee you'll start thinking during that meditation time. God is, I am, God is, I am, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? And the art of it is to gently bring yourself back into God is, I am, God is. I can't believe she did that in 3rd grade. God is, I am, God is. There is no, oh my God, during that 5 minutes. There's just realization. Your beloved child, learning, taking in. I love this question. The man was excited about his great find. Do you think he had trouble selling all he had? Probably, for he was no doubt attracted to his many possessions. Some of them may have had more personal value than material value, and this may have made it difficult for him to sell them. This man, however, did not let personal attachment cloud the issue. What he found was of superior value. This is not the only time that Jesus said we must be willing to give up all in order to enter the kingdom. So, superior value. Would light, would seeing, would love have superior value than perhaps waiting for your parents to have given you a better childhood? I heard early on in my healing, somebody said, I've had enough of sitting around waiting for my parents to give me a good childhood. And I thought, that was me. That was me. I was waiting for them to make it not have happened. And I realized that was my key to misery for the rest of my existence, was waiting for them to make it have been different. And so it wasn't worth it anymore. My resentment of my parents wasn't worth it to me anymore. My resentment of others. Now, I've taken on a lot of new resentments since then that I'm working on. I want to be clear on that. I'm open and honest here, transparent. I'm not going to tell you who. But, well, it's all of you, quite frankly. So, but, am I, imagine. But I will take my pain. So, but back then, in that healing time, with everyone that I let off the hook, I let myself off the hook one more time. I didn't realize how many hooks I had been on, how many jail cells I was in, and giving the keys away freely by waiting for them to have made the past different. So, it's the new year, time of resolutions, what have you, and to look at our beloved teachings that tell us how we can be free if we choose. We'll have to give up our lack in order to live solvent. We'll have to give up our lack in order to live abundantly. We'll have to give up our lack in order to live resentment-free. We'll have to give up our lack and our belief that there is God, there is me, and there is everybody else. We'll have to give up that form of lack. We'll have to sacrifice that in order to make the hidden treasure a very visible treasure. To unhide it. To take it out of hiding and embrace it. Place it back to enrich our heart, to enrich our mind, to enrich all of our relationships, to enrich our money, to enrich our body, to enrich every aspect of living. Here's the deal, people. We all have taken on a body, and we have taken on a whole lot of experiences. And now we're going to take all that stuff in order to live well. We're going to take all that stuff in order to live well instead of in the absence of love. We're going to convert it. We're going to be alchemists, and we're going to transform it into the presence of love, the presence of joy, the presence of possibility. One thought at a time. Light and joy and peace do abide in me. And all the good of God is in every cell, every tissue, every fiber of my being. We are sitting on a very wealthy mine of good. How about that? Thank you.